I just want to give you a little bit of background story of Joburg. Because if I say to you, let's start walking the city right now, it won't make sense at all. And look around you. It is one beautiful and ugly city all at the same time. Because Joburg was inspired by different cities around the world. There is no sightseeing here. People are here working. It's a working city. It's a hustling city. We call it Johannesburg because people come to hustle here.
As we learned on our tour of the city, gold was discovered in Johannesburg in 1886, and that kind of caused a whole flock of people from across the globe to move to Johannesburg to try and get a piece of that wealth, get a piece of kind of the greater pie of resources in that area.
You know, so many people are coming in and out of the city, so many different cultures and ways of thought are coming in and out of the city, and that's reflected by the crazy changes in architecture. It looks like 6 different cities at one time. There's pieces of architecture from New Orleans, it looks like, with the Victorian buildings, and then there's also Soviet-style architecture, really brutalist, concrete, tall buildings. And then there's also more modern American architecture that they incorporated in the new buildings, like the stock exchange and other things like that.
And no one's ever really created a forever home there, so it's kind of, and that's reflected in the architecture. And there's a lot of influences, but none of it's ever like there forever.
Okay, so this was demolished to make way of this tall thing. Look at this building. It was inspired by that game Jenga. Does it not look like it? This was designed by German architects.
When gold was discovered in Johannesburg, it definitely put the original farmers and people who did agriculture in a disadvantaged position.
Yeah, well, once Europeans came into power, they established apartheid, and in order to keep black and white people separate, they moved the black people to nearby town, Soweto.
Soweto was designed for the city. Soweto was never a permanent residential area. It was designed only for labor, and that labor was for the city, for the mining industry.
I think historically it's kind of a place that they set aside for black people, so they couldn't be in the town of Johannesburg, but they were still close enough to come in and work there and do labor for the white people. But then they were out of sight on weekends and after hours on weekdays.
So eventually, after years of oppression, we learned that many black people started leading protests, student protests and other protests to fight apartheid.
We say when you open your hand, the fingers are not equal. You close your hand, the fingers are equal. This simple says we may not be equal out of Soweto. In Soweto, we are equal. There is no black and white. We are all humans. Together as one, please come, let's do a fist pump greeting at once. Everyone come. Everyone, try to fit in. Why are we doing this? It's because if I'm having a bad day, you are having a good day. By doing this, the one that's having a bad day will receive a positive energy from the one that's having a good day. It's very much important when we meet. It's either we handshake or we fist pump. From here, let's go straight to the heart. 1, 2, 3, to the heart. One love, one love, one love, one love, one love.
We also learned how protest movements about apartheid were primarily spearheaded by student movements. We visited a great historical site in Soweto called the Hector Peterson Memorial, where the name of the memorial is named after the first student who died in protest of apartheid. And so what happened was the students got together and they said that, you know, we might not be able to make a change individually because we'll get arrested, right? But if we all march down and make a referendum at the city hall, then we might be able to get something done.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. And it was met with gross violence, a horrible, unjust response, which then kicked off a further movement around the country.
They were thrown into small prison cells, which we saw at the Apartheid Museum. And some of them were held there for days on end. We stopped by Nelson Mandela's exhibit that's just dedicated to all of his work and his entire life. We learned about Winnie Mandela, who was a very strong force in the protest against apartheid, and she was put in one of those small cells for 410 days just for speaking out against it.